Hello everyone, Roleplay-Geek here, and today I'm going to demonstrate to you my decision deck and how I use it in my role-playing games, particularly in combat, to replace dice and to generally speed things up. So let's get over to the table. Welcome back, and the first question you might ask yourself is, exactly what is a decision deck? Well, it's simply a card mechanism for rolling dice. So down the right hand side of the card we have dice rolls from a D30 to a D20 to 12 to 10 to 8 to D6 and D3, D4 and a coin toss. On the right hand side we have critical hit and fumble descriptions, and in the middle we have a poker card hand, and we have a dice hand like in a game of Yahtzee or poker dice. And then we also have a card number which can resolve ties, or if you just want to generate a number from 1 to 60, you can use that number there. They're all unique. So what advantages does the decision deck have over dice? Number one, I often GM while standing up. I don't have to bend down or search through my bag for the right dice. I have them all in my hand at the turn of a card. The second reason is that in my experience, dice are too unreliable. They can be hard to read. Some don't roll at all well. Yes, I'm looking at you, D4. Other dice roll far too well, and before you know it, they're off the table and halfway out the door. You know their name, D100. The third reason is streaks. We've all got horror stories of how bad your dice rolls were in a particular session, and whilst they probably will even out their random distribution over 10,000 rolls, frankly my sessions aren't that long. I don't want my monsters to have any kind of luck at all, either in a good way or a bad way. And the fourth reason is speed. Using cards for me is just faster. Now I'm going to demonstrate how using the deck can speed up your combats during play. In our simulated combat, we have a large group of monsters who need to roll 15 or more on a D20 to hit, and they do D8 damage for every successful strike. We'll apply critical hit and fumble effects as they occur. So off we go. 17, that's a hit, and 7 damage. 16, also a hit, and 8 damage. 10, a miss. 9, a miss. 4, a miss. 2, a miss. 1, a fumble. And the fumble result is ricochet. Your attack ricochets off your opponent and you narrowly avoid being hit by your own weapon. 12, a miss. 19, a hit, and 2 points of damage. 17, also a hit, and 3 points of damage. 13, a miss. 11, a miss. 8, a miss. 7, a miss. 6, a miss. 5, a miss. 4, a miss. 10, also a miss. 9, a miss. 20, a critical hit. So looking at the critical hit result, it's fearsome pose. Your fighting stance strikes fear into your opponent, making them miss their next attack. If they have initiative over you, they lose it until they can defeat you. And a 17, the next strike, is also a hit, doing 4 points of damage. The next strike, 15, also a hit, doing 3 points of damage. The next strike is a miss. The next strike is a hit, doing 3 points of damage. And the next strike is a miss. And a 1 is the next strike, which is also a miss, but more importantly, it's a fumble. And the fumble result is wide open. You miss with your attack, leaving yourself wide open. Your opponent's next successful attack does max damage unless they roll a critical or a fumble. The next strike is a 10, which is a miss. The next strike is a 9, which is a miss. The next strike is an 8, which is a miss. The next one is a 7, a miss. Next is a 6, a miss. Then a 5, a miss. Then a 13, a miss. A 16 is a hit, and that does 7 points of damage. And the next strike is a 14, which is a narrow miss. The next one, however, is a 19, which is a hit. and that one does 2 points of damage. Then we get a 13, which is a miss, a 12 a miss, an 11 a miss, a 10 a miss, a 14 another narrow miss. 20 is a critical hit though, so we look at the critical hit result. Blinded. Your attack deals double damage, striking your opponent in the face, causing them to be permanently blinded. They lose their attack for 1d4 rounds. That's pretty damaging. D20, 7 is a miss, 6 is a miss, 9 is a miss, 11 is a miss, and 19 is a miss. 19 is a hit, and the damage for that is a 4. So there we have, we've cycled through the entire deck of cards. So for those who say, yes, but it's not random, you could simply just keep shuffling the cards as you draw the cards. So you draw a card and you say, okay, it's a miss, or it's another miss, or it's a fumble, and then you just draw from elsewhere in the deck, and that was a fumble. Overexerted. The sudden overexertion makes your stomach cramp. As you make your attack and you vomit, your attack fails and you lose your next 1d3 attacks. Okay, so now we're going to simulate that combat using a d20 for our dice rolls instead of drawing from the cards, and a d8 for our damage instead of drawing from the cards. So, here we go. 11, that's a miss. 2, that's a miss. 3, that's a miss. 12, that's a miss. 1, that's a fumble. Now, I don't have access to my critical effects, so I'd have to look that up in a book and consult a table. Probably roll another dice, so we won't bother with criticals or fumbles. Okay, so next attack roll is a 14, which is a miss, and a 10, which is a miss, and a 12, which is a miss, and a 7, which is a miss, and an 8, which is a miss, and a 4, which is a miss, and a 12, which is a miss, and an 18, which is a hit. So now we've resolved the damage dice, and a 7 for damage, and now an 18, which is a hit. So now we'd roll the dice for damage, and that's a 2. Then we go back to our d20, and the next strike is a 2, which is a miss, and then we have a 10, which is a miss also, and we have a 16, which is a hit. So now we'd roll our damage dice, which is a 7. Going back to our d20 for our next strike, a 16, which is also a hit. So our d8 result is a 5. Going back to our d20, we've got a 6, which is a miss, and an 11, which is a miss, and a 2, which is a miss, and an 11, which is a miss, and a 12, miss, 8, miss, 18 is a hit, and our damage dice roll was 3. Next strike, 7, which is a miss, 15, which is a hit, and our damage dice roll was a 5. Going back to our d20, we've got 10, which is a miss, and a 15, which is a hit. So we now switch to our d8, and that's a 6, which is a 6 damage. Then we flip to our d20, and we roll a 15, which is a hit, and then we roll our d8 damage, that's a 4. Continuing on, we have a 12, which is a miss, and we have a 18, which is a hit. So we do our damage, that's a 7, and then we go to our d20 again, and then we have a 16, which is a hit. D8 again, 7, D20, 17, which is a hit. So our damage is 2. Next one, 5, which is a miss. 14, which is a miss. 10, which is a miss. 6 is a miss. 20 is a critical, and I'd have to roll another dice and consult a chart, and that would take absolutely forever. The next roll, 6 is a miss. 10 is a miss. 9 is a miss. 4 is a miss. Oh, there it goes off the table. There's always one. 6, which is a miss. And the next one, 13, which is a miss. And 4, which is a miss. Oh, off again it goes. And the next one is a 20, which is a critical, so we'd have to roll that one again and consult the proverbial critical hit chart. So next one is a 16, which is a hit, and then we flip to our D8 for the damage, which is a 6. So, using the dice took a minute and a half longer. A couple of rolls escaped the table, and we would have still needed to look up the critical hit and fumble charts to find out the results. We can see from this chart that the dice rolled far more erratically than the cards. There is a slight bell curve built into the cards to reduce the frequency of criticals and fumbles, but nothing as pronounced as that of the dice. As a rule, I don't use this for player character combat rolls. I know players like to have their lucky dice, and I wouldn't want to change that, but I hope that you DMs watching can appreciate that it can make your life easier. For those of you interested in getting your own deck, there's a link in the description below, and a follow-up video to show you how to put your deck together. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, subscribe, comment, like and share.